Party people! Welcome to Mr. Poloche Sports. My first video was about Israel Adesanya, the current champion of the middleweight division in the UFC. Now it is time to do his contender, Paulo Costa, who currently ranks as number 2 in the division. All this before the highly anticipated match between these two on the next September the 26th, 2020. Enjoy!
First, allow me to give the credits to the sources I've gathered the information from, which is Wikipedia, the UFC, and Paulo Costa's proper account on Instagram at Borachinia.
Paulo Enrique Costa was born on April the 21st, 1991 in Belo Horizonte, Brazil. He is the son of Carlos Roberto Costa and Maria Augusta. According to Wikipedia, his father, and I quote here because this word sounds funny, is an odd jobber, which means he worked as maintenance man, repairman, or serviceman. This means a skilled worker whose job is to repair things, a very common job in Latin countries. Paulo has an older brother, Carlos Costa, who is a former mixed martial artist and one of Paulo's coaches.
Paulo grew up in Contender, a city in Brazil of about 400,000 population in the center of the state Minas Gerais in Brazil, and it is only 21 kilometers away from the capital Belo Horizonte, and forms part of a metropolitan area with a population of 4.8 million, where he played soccer and eventually picked up Muay Thai at the age of 9 in order to learn discipline and avoid street fights he was constantly getting into. Later on, as a teenager, Paulo joined a jiu-jitsu gym with his brother, but unfortunately he had to quit the sport after their father died of throat cancer when Paulo was 17. A couple of years later, Costa returned to jiu-jitsu and started competing under the tutelage of his brother, who was already a purple belt at the time. I found out that in order to help provide for his home with the bills, Costa worked in real estate and also worked as an IT coach, teaching Microsoft Word and Excel, proving a big man can be very clever too. Costa made his professional MMA debut in his native country of Brazil in February 2012 on the arena of MMA Total Combat Santa Lucia, and officially participated in some more before entering the UFC in 2017. At the end of 2013, Costa was chosen to be a fighter on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil 3, an installment of the Ultimate Fighting Championship UFC-produced reality television series. The show aired since March the 9th, 2014 up to May the 31st, 2014, with the grand finale featuring an event of several professional fights at the main event, Miocic vs Maldonado. This show casted 17 middleweight and 16 heavyweight fighters who were at least 21 years old and have a minimum of 2 wins in 3 professional fights prior to the show. In the opening elimination round, Paulo defeated Jose Roberto via submission, a guillotine choke, in the second round. His next fight was against Marcio Alexander Jr., and Costa lost by a split decision after 3 rounds. It was not a prominent presence on the show, but Paulo proved himself he had the skills to continue growing his career. So, now let's have a look at his records. Paulo Costa officially entered the mixed martial arts arenas back in 2012 against Tio Esteves, as you can see here in this chart. By the way, this chart is published on Wikipedia. So he entered on February the 5th, 2012. He won by a TKO. Afterwards, he fought in 2013 in June. He fought in November 2013 as well, also winning by TKOs. Afterwards, he fought again on December in 2014 and also won by a TKO. With this note, the doctor stopped the fight. In April 2015, he fought as well and won again by TKO. He actually won the vacant face-to-face middleweight championship. Later on, December the same year, he also fought and won by TKO. Afterwards, he fought and won the vacant Jungle Fight middleweight championship against Eduardo Ramon in May the 21st, 2016 by submission, rear naked choke. And his last fight before entering the UFC was in 2016 against Adriano Balbi, also winning by TKO and defending the Jungle Fight middleweight championship. So you all can see he wins by TKO because the judges must stop the fight in order to avoid injuries on his opponents. This is a proof on why he earned the nickname The Eraser. Remember that between these fights, he also entered the UFC reality show The Ultimate Fighter Brazil #3 and performing 2 fights. One he won and the second one he lost by split decision. Later on, Paulo Costa entered officially the UFC arena on March the 11th, 2017, fighting in Brazil. By the way, all of his previous fights took place in Brazil. And so he officially entered the UFC arena in March 2017. And the more he was winning, the more he was giving other chances to keep on fighting on the UFC. Because he was winning in spectacular fashion and by TKOs. Up to the point of becoming the number 2 in the division. Now, if you want to sum up all of his records, we can count 13 matches, all of them wins, no losses, 11 wins by knockout, 1 by submission, and only 1 by decision. This guy is pretty impressive. Now let's have a detailed review on Paulo Costa's fights on the UFC arena. His first fight on the UFC arena was against McLellan in March the 11th, 2017, in which he won in the very first round just in 1 minute by TKO. This was an incredible performance of Costa's. He completely abolished his opponent. Later on, Paulo Costa faced Bank Booz on June the 2nd in 2017. He won on the second round by TKO. You should watch this fight. Bank Booz was jumping all around the cage trying to make his best, but still wasn't enough against Costa's endurance and strength. Later on, Costa faced Hendricks back in November the 4th, 2017. He also won in the second round by TKO. And Hendricks was not an easy fight. first, Costa faced the highly skilled Uriah Hall on July the 7th, 2018, winning again on the second round by TKO. Uriah Hall was showing a very impressive physique and actually landing several punches and kicks, but Costa was very strong, so Uriah Hall didn't seem to hurt Costa. His last fight before fighting against Israel Adesanya on next September 26th was against Romero on August the 17th, 2019. This was a complete fight of 3 rounds. Costa was not able to win again by TKO. Romero was a very tough opponent, and actually they exchanged several hard punches on each other, leaving marks all over their bodies. This was a win by decision. I highly recommend you watch this fight because there are several opinions giving the win to Romero. I think the judges decided to name Costa as the victor because of his attitude towards the fight, always going forward. Well, now it's time to have a review on his physical characteristics. Paulo Costa's height, 185.42 centimeters. Weight, 83.91 kilograms. His reach, 182.88 centimeters. Remember that this is measured from the right fingertip to the left fingertip with the arms are parallel to the ground. His leg reach is 133 centimeters. The leg reach is measured from the hip bone to the heel.
Okay fellows, this was all for this time. If you like this kind of content, please remember to subscribe, like and share so that I continue to deliver this for you. See you next time.